Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Last week, I shared with you part of the body image webinar that Margaret and myself did together. Margaret, if you don't know, is a licensed therapist, and she brought so much incredible knowledge, insight, wisdom, tips, great conversation. And if you didn't listen to the part 1 episode, go back and definitely take a listen to that before you finish here. But now is an opportunity. In the last episode, you kind of heard part from Margaret and part from me about just different concepts and what we see with our clients and our work and how we help them. And in this part of the webinar, we decided to kind of team up and kind of go through similar scenarios. So 5 different scenarios that we see our clients struggle with on a regular basis. And you get to hear from the perspective of a therapist and how she helps her clients through that. And then you also get to hear from the perspective of myself, a registered dietitian, and how I help my clients with it. In this next section, you are going to learn how to like what you see in the mirror, accept what you see on the scale, stop falling into the comparison trap, how to receive comments from others, and how to navigate family, friends, and coworkers as social situations after months of not having to dress up. I know a lot of people are feeling that because of COVID. So this is a really great opportunity because I'm sure you're probably, if you're listening to this and you're a human, then no matter what gender you identify with, what age you are, your life experiences, chances are you've struggled with at least one of these areas. I know that I do, and I have, and I found that this part of the webinar was so helpful. So last episode, I did not formally introduce Margaret, so I definitely did want to just read you her bio. She's wonderful, and also the link to her Instagram profile is in the show notes. So if you want to give her a follow, maybe message her, let her know what you thought about this episode, and just connect. Also, if you're in New York, I know that she's taking on new clients right now, so you could definitely contact her, see if you guys would be a good fit. But I just wanted to share a little bit about Margaret because I think that her approach to things are really, really awesome. Margaret is a licensed marriage and family therapist who practices in Long Island, New York. Over her 8 years of clinical experience, her goal as a therapist is to give her clients a safe, non-judgmental, and supportive space to help them move through the situations they feel stuck in. Her career has allowed her to work closely with clients during life transitions, communication problems in their relationships, work on having a healthy relationship with their body, grief and mourning, and working through past or current traumas. Margaret's passion is to help her clients figure out what it is best for them, with whatever it is best for them, without ever acting like the expert in their lives. So I love that approach because that's exactly what I do, and that's why we align so wonderfully. We are knowledgeable and experts in our field, but our goal and our job is not to tell you exactly what to do. Our job is to guide you, to help you be able to lead the life and live the life that you truly want to and desire to do. And maybe that's not clear for you, or maybe you feel stuck, but through therapy or through, coaching or counseling, our job is to help you figure that out. So Margaret's wonderful. I know you're going to love the second part of the webinar. It's amazing. At the end, you're going to hear that we provided a handout, which was in addition to the PowerPoint slides, and the handout, in addition to the PowerPoint slides, we provided a handout, which is like a journal prompt that actually Margaret had created. So if you want access to the full webinar, the PowerPoints, the journal prompts, all that stuff, email me, tipswithtony@gmail.com, and I will provide that for you. And I'm always going to ask you that when you reach out and you want something, you also tell me why and how the podcast episode was valuable to you. It really, really is helpful for me to know what it is that you like or don't like, and that way I can create more content around that. So I really, really appreciate it. Without further ado, here is part 2 of the body image workshop. So now Margaret and I are going to kind of go through these 5 different scenarios that we kind of discussed that we felt is likely something that you probably have experienced or are currently struggling with. And this is what tends to get us stuck. So what we're going to do is just kind of go through each of these different scenarios, and then at the end, we'll leave room for that Q&A. So the first one, and Margaret, feel free to start us off, is when looking in the mirror, how would you tell someone to kind of go navigate looking in the mirror and maybe they don't love what they see? What are some things that they can do to help improve that?
So we all know, we're going to talk about mirror now and then the scale next. And I find that those are probably the 2 of the biggest triggers when it comes to people that are struggling with their body image. I think when it comes to the mirror, mindset is really important when you stand in front of it. If you are standing in front of it, ready to pick apart your body, because we all know the pieces of our body that we are most uncomfortable with. So if you're going to go in front of the mirror and you're going to grab the skin under your arm right away in a tank top and be like, look at this, I should have lifted more weights, or why I have like this wing here. I mean, I've heard it all. You are automatically going to feel bad. You're already setting yourself up to feel negative by going and looking in the mirror and picking apart everything you do not like. It's okay that those pieces make you uncomfortable. But what would it be like if when you got dressed in the morning, when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, you'd be like, oh, well, hey, my boobs look really good today. Or, wow, I like my booty in these pants. Like, I don't know why I picked those 2 things. What about if your hair looked really great, or if you actually did your makeup for the first time in a long time and you're like, oh, I got to do the eye wing, which I cannot do and I will not attempt. But if you go into the mirror and you're looking for something positive, those other pieces over time are not going to be your direct focus. And again, it's practice. It's practice of going to the mirror and being like, oh, I hate my stomach, but wait, no, what do I like? It's training the brain to look for the positives, and that have self-compassion on the days that you can't find the positives. You know, everything that Tony and I are saying is not going to happen every single day. It's just not possible for anybody. So when you're looking in the mirror, what can we find? What pieces of you do you love? That you can put that on your list. And even if there are some negatives you're pointing out, and especially for females during PMS, nothing feels good when you look in the mirror. Like, it's incredible. You wake up like a different human the next day. You're like, I didn't look like this yesterday, and now I can't even stand to look at myself. Have those little pieces that you do like in your back pocket that you can always pull out to remind yourself. But I really like my smile. My eyebrows look really good because I just got them done. My hair is just doing its thing today, and I didn't even have to put product in it. Like, keep those things in your back pocket because they are always there. There's always a positive you can find in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to go off of that, I always tell my clients for every negative, come up with 2 positives, because our brains are they just go negative. It's just like it's just what we do. So we need to reverse that. So every negative, think of 2 positives. And I was just going to say something else. You made a good point, like how when we're PMSing, no matter what we look like seeing in the mirror, it's just not acceptable, at all. So the other thing I like to tell people is there's going to be times where I've literally had clients tell me there's one, in the morning, I can look at myself and be like, wow, I actually am really proud of myself. I look really good. And then in the evening, they don't feel the same way. And it's like they are looking at a completely different image. And very often I ask them, tell me what's going on. How was your day? And the answer is usually I'm really, really stressed out. I'm having issues with my spouse or whatever it is. And so when we're stressed, we can't trust our eyes. They will see what we want them to see. Mm-hmm. And so I want you to use that to your advantage. Your eyes will see what you want them to see. So if we can really try to get you into going back to that, like, more or less like a positive mindset or a reframe, then you can recognize that my eyes are going to play tricks on me all day. What matters most to me is how do I feel, right? How have I been feeling? What can I do to make myself feel a little bit better? And then also too, I will say, like physically, when you eat, it is very normal to have a full belly. If you haven't had a bowel movement, we're going to talk about the scale in a minute. Like that's normal. So very often you could just be looking in the mirror and you just maybe you haven't had a bowel movement or you ate something. And so there's no reason to like beat yourself up. You didn't gain what in your mind tells you 5 pounds in 12 hours. It just didn't happen. Okay. So, that's another helpful tip.
The scale. So I don't know about you, but I literally have felt one way in a positive way, like, this is great. I'm having a good morning. Get on the scale, see 3 numbers, and then my entire day has been ruined in a matter of 3 seconds based off of 3 numbers. So when we are getting on the scale, we have to first see if getting on the scale is healthy for you. Some clients, they like to know, it helps them. They're able to manage those emotions when getting on the scale, and that's great. For others, it's not a good measure. If anyone is really wondering about the scale, I love Jordan Syed, who I also know was on Tony's podcast. He consistently does different times. He's a trainer in New York, and he will get on the scale every single day. He did a 30-day challenge where he ate a Big Mac for lunch every single day, tracked his weight, and at the end, lost weight. He is able to debunk what the scale is telling your mind, because your weight is going to fluctuate. Like Tony said, if you haven't had a bowel movement, we're talking about PMS. Some people can gain like 7 pounds while they're PMSing by retaining all of that water. It is a measure. It's just a measurement. It doesn't have anything to do with your worth. And that is very hard for a lot of people to understand, myself included some days, because I learned, again, by every Saturday getting weighed and then that determining if my week was good or bad, or if I was good or bad, that I have now taken that number and said that that's actually who I am. And you have to break that thinking, because that number is just a number. It has nothing to do with how smart you are, how beautiful you are, how successful you are, how intelligent. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's merely just a number, as is your pant size or your shirt size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I went live in my Facebook group the other day. Actually, this happened this weekend. That day I actually ended up having to buy like an extra large shirt, and it doesn't matter. I wear extra large shirts. This is a large and it's so tight on me. It's my own Tips with Tony t-shirt. And I like need to get bigger ones because like they don't fit. And like, that's okay. There's, depending on what you order, what you buy, like you're going to be in different sizes, and that's like so normal. But to go back to the scale, I did want to talk about, so as a registered dietitian, and where I have a very unique approach where I help people to learn how to eat intuitively, honor their bodies, while also I will, if they want to lose weight, I will support that. And that's a very rare position that I choose to take. And so doing that, it's complicated because there's a lot of that healing process of the relationship with food, the relationship with our bodies, the relationship with the scale, all these things that we have to do before we can really tackle the weight loss. So people will come to me a little bit frustrated because they'll see that they, quote, only lost a pound this week. And I have to consistently remind them that 1 pound is actually, believe it or not, the healthiest way to lose weight, whereas we've been told in media that you're supposed to be proud of yourself for losing 20 pounds in like 2 to 3 weeks, which is just way too fast. And so what I just want to kind of just share here is that sometimes our expectations are not real, and not every week is going to be a weight loss week, or if you're trying to gain weight, a week that you gain weight. every week the scale naturally fluctuates day to day. And what we care about the most, going back to happiness and confidence, is not at a body size, is how do you feel, right? So if you can consistently focus on your habits and your behaviors of taking care of your body by sleeping more, eating balanced, nutrient-dense meals, while also not depriving yourself of something a little bit more indulgent, creating that balance within you, following through with moving your body more, whatever that looks like to you, and we're truly engaging in these healthier habits and behaviors, the scale is going to arrive to a place, whatever it chooses to arrive at, and because you're going to be confident and happy and proud of yourself and energetic and doing all of these healthy things, you're going to feel really, really good. And you're going to realize that the number on the scale is just like a data point, right? But going back to what Margaret said in the beginning, that's really hard to understand and to swallow. So if you need to take a break from the scale, that's okay. If you need to not look at that, if it really is not, if you really can't get on the scale without feeling like it's going to completely ruin your day, even though you go through all of the things, like I may have had a meal late at night, I may have had something salty, I haven't had a bowel movement, you go through all the, I'm bloated, I'm PMSing, all that stuff, and you still allow it to kind of ruin your day, then it's take a break from that. It's literally one form of measure out of many others that are a lot more important, and it's not necessary to implement if it's going to hurt you. One thing I will just add is that very often when I'm working with my clients, I will tell them if it's stressing you more than helping you, we need to take it out. So there's many ways to be healthy. My goal is to help my clients find their individual way, and there's also many methods to do that. There's tracking tools, there's using the scale or not using the scale, there's mindful eating, there's different calorie counting, macro tracking, all of these different things. But if any of those are stressing you more than helping you, then it's not going to be good for you in the long run, because ultimately whatever you do to get specific results, you're going to have to keep doing that to get that back in return. So if it's really stressing you out, then you might lose weight, but you're not going to be happy. And you didn't do this to be unhappy. You did this to feel happy and confident. So I just wanted to kind of remind you of that stuff.
The comparison trap. So this is probably one that I have really felt lately, have worked with clients on. The adolescents that I've worked with are consistently and constantly comparing themselves to everybody else. So we are on social media. We all have some form of social media. We are constantly comparing ourselves to everybody else. And I love this image of, I wish I was as thin as I was when I thought I was fat. I think we all have, or that's just, I'm assuming, but most people have grabbed a photo of themselves and been like, wow, I thought I was fat here and I would do anything to go back to that size. We need to look a little deeper and past the before and after. We're looking at before and after as negative versus positive. So usually when somebody posts a before picture, it is a picture of a body that they did not like, and the after is the body that they're saying that they do like. So it's a comparison of bad versus good. I want you guys to look at it as different experiences. In this one picture, I was living this life and this was going on. And in this picture, this is my life and this is what's going on. Look at the Black Panther. You have been inundated with that. Everybody for the last few months have been commenting awful things about his weight loss and what he looked like due to it. And he was dying. We had no idea he was dying. So when people are looking at pictures like that and you're thinner so you look better or you don't look good, you have no idea what that experience is of other people or even yourself. To give yourself some grace and say, this body in that picture got me through that time, and this body in this picture is getting me through this time. Personally, I had lost my dad about 5 years ago, and if I look at pictures from the summer after, I was probably in very good shape. for me. And I look at it, I was like, I was at the gym 2 to 3 hours sometimes. I was on extreme diets because that's what I could control. I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't control the fact that my dad had died. I couldn't control everything else that was going on because of that. So that is something that I did control. So I wasn't that happy. Actually, I was pretty darn miserable. Now I look and I'm probably 20 pounds heavier and I'm like, all right, but I'm happy in a relationship and I am going through a pandemic, which we all are, and I don't know how to deal with this. And I was stuck inside for like 3 months and that was weird. And there's some things going on with work and like this body is getting me through this. It's not bad because it's heavier. It just is. This is what is allowing me to get to the next space in my life. But my body's going to change probably 17 more times before I'm no longer on this earth. If I'm lucky, only 17.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many good points there. So many good points. And the one thing I do want to kind of circle back to with this photo is like I wish I was as thin as I was when I thought I was fat. I hope that reading that helps you to recognize, like, please just accept and love your body for right now, because the time's going to pass and you might feel that same way in 20 years from now, when really we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people and to our old versions of ourselves and really just be grateful for what we have right now. And so if you don't practice that now, it's going to be hard to do in 10 years when your body does change again, because that's normal. That's naturally part of of us growing older, is our body is going to change and then we might have to work extra hard to not get it to change. And then that's when you have to have that conversation with yourself. Is the work that I have to put in worth it? Do I want to spend hours exercising and skip and not be able to eat these certain foods? Or do I like that this is the body that I'm in and I'm still able to work out? I just don't have to be obsessive about it. And I can have a couple of cocktails over the weekend. And I don't need to like track every morsel of my food. And I'm happy being here. So I think that's really, really important. And then I also wanted to talk about, like, when we catch yourself comparing yourself to people on like social media. Someone the other day made a comment to me. It was my uncle. He was so sweet. He's like, all of your pictures, you look so great. I'm like, he's actually my godfather. And if you're Greek, I'm going to talk Greek for a second. I'm like trying to like put this in English, but he's my godfather in Greek is no. So I'm like, no. It's my business. I'm like, I only put the best pictures. Like, thank you very much. Thank you for that. I was like, but like, I filter my photos. If you guys want to know, like, I filter the photos, okay? Sometimes I don't, but most of the time I do. Like, so anytime you catch yourself, like, comparing yourself to someone on social media, remember, like, they're putting their best stuff out there. There was a movie once, oh God, I can't remember the name of the movie. I think it was A Walk to Remember. Yes, A Walk to Remember. And at the end, there was a quote like, when you look through a photo album, you never see the messy stuff, but that's what helped you get from one picture to the next. Like, that quote is just so perfect and so true, because what you're seeing in social media and on media, like, they're not putting out, like, you're not going to see what's that, like all the outtakes. Like, you're rarely going to see that stuff. And we're all doing that. You know, we're all just putting out our best stuff out there. So if you're catching yourself comparing yourself to someone on social media, I used to also too, I'll share this with you. I used to do a lot of work. I used to show a lot of workout videos. And I would always pick the best angle. Now, recently, my boyfriend and I have been doing live workouts on Instagram. And I'm also not in the shape that I was last year. I got mono last year and I had to stop exercising. It was like so traumatic, and I had to be really compassionate with myself. And it was like all that to say, I'm like getting myself back into moving my body regularly again, because I was always so tired. Like I had zero energy. If you've ever had mono, it's literally the worst. And so I'm finally at this place where I'm feeling better and all that. But so my body doesn't look like what it used to look like when I was putting out these like more like fitness sort of videos and all that stuff. All that to say, I was actually really proud of myself because these live videos, I have to show like the side angle, you know, to show like how to do like ab workouts and stuff. I can't keep myself in like that perfect angle that I used to do. And the old me would have not done it. I literally would have not put the video up. But now I know that like, okay, this is just showing like I'm proud of myself. I'm doing a workout. It doesn't, you know, and I recognize that this body is a different body than it was because I needed to heal back then. And if I would have rushed the healing process, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. Right? So the way we talk to ourselves really does matter. And we have to be mindful of whenever you're comparing yourself to someone else or yourself, it just doesn't feel good. I also want to say, even if you're comparing yourself to and we're going to talk about comments from others in the next slide, but like, say you go to a party or you see a family member and you're like, oh, well, at least I'm not as big as them, or at least I didn't let myself go like they did. That is so negative. And that is equally as bad as comparing yourself to like when you were thinner and wanting to be thinner and all that stuff. So when you're comparing yourself to others and making yourself feel better because you're trying to say like, at least I don't look like that, that's terrible. And that just shows that there's more inner work that we need to do. And because that shows that the surface body image is still a really, really strong, it's like really, really important to you. And we're trying to help you to understand that there's so much more that's so much more important than what our body size is or what it looks like. So, handling comments from others.
So one of the things, and again, it's going back to coronavirus and the quarantine, is a lot of people, the second quarantine came out, it was like, who's going to get in the quarantine 15 and all of that kind of stuff started. So there was this idea that finally, when we realized that we were going to get to see people we loved again, I had worked with clients who were very nervous to see people because they're like, oh my God, the second they see me, they're going to see the fact that I gained weight. And they were nervous about those kind of comments coming from people. And I think if something we could have taken from sheltering in place is that when your loved ones, your friends, your family, your coworkers, even clients that you've worked with finally got to see you again in person, the last thing they were thinking of is what your body looked like. They were just so excited to see you, maybe even touch you if you were allowing hugs, if you were bubbling and doing everything safe. So we put a lot of pressure on comments from others. Even if you say you've been working really hard and you feel really good about your body and you have an outfit that you feel great in and you go to a party and not one person says anything to you about your weight, your body, or how good you look, that can change your mood. You can be like, wait a second, nobody noticed, nobody said anything to me about how banging I look tonight. I know I felt it when I left the house. We're like waiting for that validation from them. And then if we don't get it, the validation that we had for ourselves goes out the window. When that's the validation that we need the most. And that goes for when people make negative comments. If you know what's going on in your life, if you know what you're doing and that you're working to live a valued life and a meaningful life, those comments should not invalidate you. Other people their thoughts and emotions are their thoughts and emotions, and we cannot control them. We can control how we feel about ourselves. And that comments from others should not validate how we feel or even take away how good we feel about ourselves because they didn't agree with us.
Yeah, this is some real deep stuff. Oh my gosh. I'm just like thinking of this. My brain went to like certain social situations. And then one experience with my client who actually recorded a podcast about this because we were working together and she had lost weight and she was super excited to go back to, the staff, like she's a teacher, and to see everyone. And she was disappointed because nobody commented on her weight loss. And I had to remind her that that's actually the best thing that could have happened to her. Literally the best thing. Because fortunately, with working with me, we're doing it in a healthy, sustainable way. But let's pretend she did it in a very unhealthy way. She cut out carbs, she exercised excessively, she ignored her hunger cues, and now she feels good because the weight has come off, but she doesn't genuinely feel like she can keep doing this. Now someone compliments her for her weight loss and how great she looks, and she automatically feels this pressure that she has to now continue to lose this weight or do whatever she's doing to keep the weight off. And that can be a very negative cycle. So and then the other thing too, when you comment on somebody's weight, you don't know what's going on in their head. So someone could have lost weight, or also too, the same thing that just happened with Chadwick Boseman, which is so sad. Like, you don't know if someone's losing weight because they did it because they wanted to, or maybe they're going through an illness and that's what happened. So what I always tell people, it's never safe to comment on somebody's body. It's just inappropriate. I don't know how it became normal to do this. Actually, I do know diet culture, but it's not normal. Nobody should comment on somebody's body weight. It is literally, you have no idea what their relationship with their body is, what their relationship with food is. And it also goes back to making people think that their worth or who they are is dependent on their body size. It's not. Like, we love people for how caring they are, how kind they are, how funny they are, how enjoyable they are to be around, how smart they are. That can be possible regardless of the shape and size that that person is in. So it's really just, kind of like I was sharing earlier about, like, we really need to kind of stop, like, when it comes to bringing children to, like, Weight Watchers and weight management plans and, like, putting them on diets. It needs to end. Commenting on people's bodies needs to end. Unless, I'll say, if someone is openly, and I don't want to say unless, because it's still not appropriate. If someone is openly coming to you, telling them they are doing it in a healthy way, they feel really good, they're really proud of themselves, you could say something like, and if it's true, and only if you want to, you do seem happier. Like, you do seem great, if that's true, but it doesn't need to be about their body. Okay, because that puts a lot of pressure on ourselves, and it just kind of reinforces all these things that we're trying to unlearn. Okay, this image, I was so happy when I was looking through on the internet, and like this Are You Beachbody Ready was the first image that came up. And then I saw that there was like a campaign going to challenge that, and this made my heart really happy. So Margaret, go for it.
And, these images are kind of what we are inundated with. And there's always the saying, like, any body is a beach body. If you have a body and you're at a beach, that is a beach body. Like, there is no real, like, standard of, like, what that's supposed to look like. And when people have negative reactions to other people's bodies, a lot of times, and excuse my language, that's their own shit. Mm-hmm. That's not yours. So I think when you're doing things like getting dressed up, or you're wearing a bathing suit, or things like that, if somebody has a negative reaction to how you look, that's on them. And to kind of put that back on them. For females that have been part of a wedding party and been a bridesmaid, it is so hard because there is one dress and there is like 8 girls and not one body type is the same. And this one dress is supposed to look good on everybody. And those kind of situations can really mess with somebody's mind. You're then forced to stand next to each other in the same dress, and you're supposed to feel comfortable, and it gets really difficult. So when you're getting dressed up for something, or you're wearing a bathing suit and you're feeling uncomfortable, tap into why. tap into, why is this making me uncomfortable? Is it because other people have told me that my body is not supposed to wear a bikini? Is it because I'm comparing myself to the other bridesmaid that I saw, I went with them for their fitting and I saw them in the dress first? Why are these things causing me anxiety? What is my anxiety trying to protect me from? A lot of time when we have anxiety, that anxiety is protecting us or trying to protect us from our worst case scenario. So tap into yourself and say, why is this triggering me? Why do I feel so uncomfortable? And again, if it's something that you want to change because for you, it will be beneficial and it lines up with your values and not other people's goals, then okay, let's talk about it. Let's see what would work for your life and your lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I'll just add to that is when this stuff like this comes up, this came up with one of my clients. She was, first of all, wearing a bathing suit is very exposing. Can we just agree? No one's excited to wear a bathing suit. I'm sorry. And if you are, good for you. But the best way for you to really kind of somewhat make do with that situation is wear clothes that you're comfortable with. So even if it's getting dressed up, so there's this whole big thing about now that coming out of quarantine, people are marketing oh, or if you're not going to fit into your jeans because you gained weight, do this detox tea and blah, blah, blah. And really you're made to feel bad about gaining weight for surviving in a time of crisis. And it's terrible. So what I say to that is don't try to fit. If your jeans genuinely don't fit, or if the bathing suit that you're wearing you don't feel comfortable in, buy a pair of jeans that you feel comfortable in. Stop trying to fit into old sizes of things, accept where you're at right now and wear a bathing suit that gives you confidence. I kind of love that the high-waisted bathing suits are now in because I feel most confident when I wear that. It's not because I'm afraid of my lower belly area showing or anything like that. I just really love that look. If you've been following me for a long time, then you know that I've always wear crop tops and high-waisted pants or shorts. That's my style. So the fact that I can wear a bathing suit like that, it's super exciting. So wear clothes that you feel comfortable in. And that can usually help in those certain situations.
And I do see that some people are sharing some of their experiences. Okay. One of the participants has said that they've lost a significant amount of weight. And when they first lost it, everyone commented on how beautiful they were and that they shouldn't gain the weight back. And that kind of played with her mind a little of that's insulting of what were you thinking previously when as back to that before and after, both were great. Both were beautiful. It was that body helped you survive that time. And this is the body that is going to be with you in that time. And I can imagine that people thought that they were complimenting you, and in a way they were, but it was also really hurtful and probably caused some stress when you would leave work and kind of playing that over and over in your mind. Thank you for sharing that. And then there was someone that says their brain's inner monologue is their mom's. I find that a lot. I think the fact that you are now in a happy relationship and you have somebody that is accepting your body, that helps heal. Everyone, and being a, couples therapist, people are always saying, don't love yourself first before you find somebody to love you. But there is something healing in a relationship where somebody really loves and accepts you, and that's okay. And that does help you heal. It is okay to say, I found a partner who sees these wounds that I have and makes me feel safe and makes me feel loved with these wounds. And that makes me feel better. I just want to let that out that that is okay too. It's not they're making you whole necessarily, but they're healing you. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. And I think that's what relationships are. friendships, romantic relationships, they're helping you heal. So, and that's actually what I talk about in my TED Talk and what I tell people. It's like, and also too, even with dieting, like that, like when it comes to I'll start with relationships, like it's very rare that you're going to find the person that you're going to marry and spend the rest of your life with, like right off the bat. That's the chances of that are pretty slim, right? So, but that's what gets so many people screwed up is like they go into these relationships hoping that it's going to be the one, and then they're disappointed. But then they forget that there's a lesson there. That person maybe wasn't put in your life to be the one. They were put in your life to help you recognize maybe a pattern that you had, or they brought up, maybe they were, helping you to see, maybe you had issues with your, a connection with your father, and this person modeled that for you. Like there's many reasons why people come into your life, and it's not always to be the one that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with. And then also too, like you said, like the healing process can happen with people. It's just having that understanding that your responsibility isn't to fix one another.
Of course. Right?
Like, and they think that's so perfect. And that's what I tell people with, and the way I bring it back to nutrition and dieting is like there's so many diets out there and we've all have done them. We've all engaged in them. But rather than continuing that cycle and feeling like you have to lose weight before you can live your life, take a picture and take a look at what it is that you learned from those experiences, and what is it that you want to bring into your future, and what is it that you want to leave in your past, and how can you create something that's a little bit more sustainable, that's going to help support your goals of happiness and self-confidence, and thinking about it like that, not so much thinking like, I can only be happy when,
right, absolutely.
Okay, so we are literally doing amazing with time. We did not even practice this. We just talked about what we thought would be a good amount of time. We left an hour and a half because we wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to get your questions answered. No question is a bad question, dumb question, whatever. Feel free to share with us if you wanted to share a circumstance. If you have a particular question, maybe about, would like it to be about body image. If it's related to, just therapy in general or nutrition in general, I'm sure we can address it. But I definitely want to know what questions you have. So let me, I don't want to stop the share. This is what we'll do. So I do want to stop the share because I want to be able to get people to talk, but I also don't want to forget to just have you guys just know where to find us if you do have to go. So Margaret, where can people find you?
So you can email me. My email address is there. I am also on Instagram at MargaretD_LMFT. I am, again, in Levittown, but if you live in New York State, I absolutely can work with you. That's the beauty of telehealth, and that's one thing that has come out, that we've been able to reach people across the state if we're able to connect with them. And something with therapy that I will say, if you have been to therapy before and it hasn't worked out, if you have felt uncomfortable with your therapist, if you feel like you've gone to a bunch and you're like, why can't I find the right fit? It takes a while, and not every therapist is the right fit, and that is okay. It's not bad against the therapist. It's not bad against you. It is a really important relationship that you will have, and it is somebody that you need to feel really safe with. So don't be discouraged if you haven't found that person yet, but you're still looking for therapy. That person is out there, and I encourage you to keep looking, because I think therapy is just so important for everybody, not just if you're struggling with body image, just in general. Life is hard. And if 2020 has taught us anything, is life is very unpredictable and really freaking hard. Mm-hmm. So if you are struggling in any way, or you know anybody that's struggling, I would say to encourage therapy 100%.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Like I told you guys, therapy is really what helped me accept my body. And I've been in many different bodies in many different stages as a dietitian, teaching people. And then anything I read in nutrition, I wanted to see if it would work for me, or I applied it. And it's just been a constant kind of, my body's changed a lot, and therapy really has helped me kind of realize that what I'm doing needs to be aligned for me. and what I want and what I need, not trying to prove to other people, not trying to get the guy, whatever it is, like so many reasons why we do what we do. It really is truly coming from me. And so because I've gotten to that place, I can confidently just love I do love my body. And like I said, even though I have moments where I look at it a little sideways, I'm able to recognize how I'm grateful for it and what it does for me. And honestly, being in therapy is what helped me do that. Because like you can read about this stuff, you can see it, you could even teach it, right? Like I could teach it and not go to therapy. And like,
right.
But if I don't do the personal work, if I don't really identify where it's coming from, it's just going to keep coming up. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy. And I do agree with Margaret, like sometimes you just maybe didn't find your right fit. But there is somebody out there for you, and life is really hard. So you don't have to do it alone. So that's super, super helpful.
And I do want to say, and Tony and I have talked about this, if you're struggling with body image and nutrition and stuff like that, having a registered dietitian working with you and a therapist is probably the best way to kind of battle this, because I can talk about body image and all the mental health pieces of it, but when it comes to like the nutrition and the science and all that, I didn't go to school for that. So I don't know that. So we both think that, and that's why we did this webinar together, to kind of merge that, to say like, we are good at what we do, and we're also good at saying like, that's not what we do, but we know other professionals that is what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So to learn more, to follow along, if you're not following me on Instagram, I'm at tips_with_Tony. I usually hang out there. If you're on Facebook, I'm on there as well. Pretty much any social media platform, I have an account. Am I active there? Not so much. IG is where I'm most active. You can always email me with questions, tipswithtony@gmail.com. You can go to my website to learn more. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, the spots are limited. However, I do also have a course. But if you want to work with me, you can just go to the coaching tab, watch the video about my program, fill out the application, and when a spot opens up, I'll reach out to you. In the meantime, you could also do my course, which is a great way to get your foundations of just healthier living, really shifting that mindset, trying to break away from that all or nothing mentality, learning what it really takes and what's required to really commit to healthier living. And I think that course is really a great way to start with that. And then lastly is my podcast. So feel free to subscribe if you like more stuff like this. We're going to take your questions. Let's see. We have a few more minutes, so we're going to take your questions, and then we'll wrap up. Thank you guys, whoever tuned in live. Thank you so much. We had over almost 150 signups, so I know not everybody was able to attend live, but the fact that that just shows the need, and I know people are going to watch the replay. So
right, and if you watch the replay and you have questions, you can reach out to either of us. We are here to answer them later on. Or if you don't feel comfortable writing it in the chat, I totally understand that as well. Again, reach out to us. This is what we're here for.
Awesome. All right, so people have to go. All right. We have thank yous, no questions. What are you guys about to do? I started watching Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm like kind of like I cannot wait to shower and like put it on. It's been a while since I've been like addicted to a show. Like I'm ready. Then again, I love America's Got Talent, and I think that's I don't have cable, so I only watch the replay. Like I think that's on, so that might be competing for it. Oh, good. We have a question. We have
how to address teen self-esteem.
Also, I love Criminal Minds. Sorry. So good.
So teenagers are just really difficult. In my agency job that I've had for 6 years, I've worked with adolescents. Getting to their level, which might sound a little weird, but like finding out what they like and finding out what they think they're good at, even the smallest of things, and running with that, going with that, validating that, talking about where they see themselves. There is the miracle question with solution focus to say, if you were to wake up tomorrow and everything was better, what would that look like? Kind of get them to start thinking using metaphors. I've always found works really well with teenagers. and talking to them like they're little adults. Like when we talk to teenagers like they're kids, it's very hard to engage them. Ask them what they're looking at on social media. Ask them to, what's on their feed. What are they following? What can they mute? Because a lot of times the self-esteem, especially with teenagers these days, is coming from things that they're seeing on the social media. Explore that with them. See if they can stay away from the social media. What's the function? I always say to my clients, WTF? What is the function of you looking at these things? Is it helping you? I always say to my teens, is this working for you? It doesn't sound like it's working for you. And then we kind of have a conversation of why it's not working for them. And they kind of get to see, and humor. Always use humor with teenagers if you can, because then it helps them feel a little at ease.
Yeah. And I don't know from like a professional way to address that, but I'll just say from personal experience, like whatever they could do really well, have them do more of those things. Like I danced in college and I played sports in college. So like that's where a lot of my confidence came from. So despite I was struggling with all these other areas, I kind of stuck to the things that I was really good at. So that helped me personally. I don't know if that's something you would agree with, Margaret, but I'm talking like...
Well, like building up of like the things that you like to do and the things that bring you joy and positivity, like build upon that with the teens.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That was a great question. You're welcome, Sally. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, if there's, good. Okay. Okay. So Tony, I would love to know what an initial consult looks like with a dietitian. What can a person expect? What are the types of questions people should ask to find the right fit, if there is a right fit? And is there generally training given on the emotional piece when talking about diet? Thinking of my partner who has been on the fence about an appointment. Okay. So there are many dietitians out there. Just like there's many therapists out there, there's many nutrition coaches out there. Also, I don't want to go on a tangent. So first thing I would say is when it comes to working with a dietitian, what I do as a nutrition coach with an online practice, I usually have people fill out an application and then we book what's called a discovery call. And that's basically not so much your initial consult, but it's kind of like a way for us to kind of figure out what it is that you really need, more about what my program does and how I can help you. And then from there, the way I work, because I specialize in helping people who struggle with emotional eating and binge eating disorder, I help them. Yes, I talk about the emotional piece and I encourage them to be in therapy at the same time. But not all dietitians do that and specialize in that. So I would just say, follow their content, go on their website. If there's a good vibe, if there's like a feeling that you're like, this person gets me, they understand me, chances are they can probably help you. And then as for the actual work, what I do is every week I have a call with my clients and we kind of work through kind of where they're at. I'll have them tell me what their current eating patterns are and then where it kind of goes wrong. And then on each call, we kind of talk through what's going on, why is that happening? And we kind of just build from there. So that's how I do more of an individualized approach, which I recommend. So if any person that you talk to is kind of like, this is what we do and this is the only way we do it, don't do that. That's all I can say. If the person seems like they're kind of willing to work with you, being more open, and is really going to kind of work through the big picture, not just focus on solely about weight and stuff like that, chances are that's probably going to be a better fit. All right, guys, that is it for the body image workshop /webinar /now podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed it. If you did, please take a screenshot of it, share it on your story, tag me, tag Margaret, let us know what you learned and what you're going to apply, or what you've learned and what you're not going to do, which I guess is technically applying, but maybe you used to beat yourself up about your body and put yourself down, and now you're just like, nope, not doing that anymore. Changing that thought pattern. So, all right, I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, I know I did. If you're new to the podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to it on Apple, if you want to write a nice review, would really, really appreciate it. That's how people find the podcast. Recently, the podcast has been growing, and I'm so grateful and thankful. And it's just amazing because the more people that listen mean the more people are open to committing to healthier living and breaking up with restrictive dieting and just all of the BS stuff that we see out there that is really hurting us more than it is helping us. And it's really taking us away from what actually matters in life, which is your happiness and your values and sticking to them and doing what's important to you, not what's important to the world and not what everyone tells you should be important to you. I hope that made sense. All right, guys. I know this was a little bit of a lengthy one, so I am going to bounce out of here. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.